He thought she was just his housekeeper, another face that came and went quietly in his mansion every day. But one night, when curiosity made him follow her home, he discovered a world he never imagined. A world where love fought against hunger, where a mother's tired hands held more strength than all his money combined. And when he saw what she did for her children, the billionaire who thought he had everything broke down in tears. Hidden compassion, it often lives in the quietest corners of life, where no spotlight ever shines, where kindness is not performed for applause but simply exists because someone chooses to care despite their own struggles. The story begins inside the towering glass walls of a billionaire's mansion, where everything gleams with perfection: marble floors, golden chandeliers, and walls that echo with silence. Yet among all that wealth, there is one figure who moves quietly, almost invisible, yet indispensable: the housekeeper. She is a middle-aged black woman who works from dawn until nightfall, ensuring that everything sparkles for a man who barely notices her presence. To him, she's part of the routine, another face in the background of his success, someone paid to keep things in order while he attends to important business deals and glamorous meetings. But what he never sees is how her hands tremble slightly as she folds the sheets, not from fatigue alone but from worry. Every crease in the linen carries the weight of her thoughts about her children waiting at home, about the rising bills, about the small apartment that feels colder each winter. She moves through the house with practiced grace, never complaining, never slowing down, always offering a polite smile when spoken to. The billionaire's guests might comment on how efficient she is, but none of them know that she takes extra shifts just to afford her son's school uniform or to buy medicine for her aging mother. Her compassion is not loud or visible. It exists in gestures so small that no one thinks to notice them. She packs leftover food into small containers, not for herself, but for the stray dog that waits outside the mansion gate. She polishes the family photos in the living room with care, as if they were her own memories. When she sees the billionaire's young daughter crying quietly after being scolded, she kneels and wipes the child's tears before returning silently to her duties. She never asks for thanks. To her, kindness is not a choice, it's survival. It's the only thing she knows how to give in a world that rarely gives back. Meanwhile, the billionaire believes compassion comes from charity galas and oversized donation checks. He sponsors hospitals, funds scholarships, and attends elegant fundraisers where people clap for his good heart. Yet, for all his generosity, he has never looked into the eyes of those who serve him every day. He doesn't realize that sometimes compassion isn't written on checks, it's written on calloused hands and tired faces that keep working long after their strength has faded. One evening, while leaving for an important meeting, he overhears the housekeeper talking softly on the phone in the corner of the kitchen. Her voice trembles as she says she'll be home late again, that she'll bring dinner when she can, and tells her children to be good and wait for her. Something about the tone of that conversation lingers with him longer than he expects. For the first time, he notices her walking out into the night after her shift, carrying heavy bags and fading into the shadows. Curiosity, mixed with something he can't name, makes him follow her. His polished shoes click against the pavement as he keeps a careful distance. He watches her board a nearly empty bus, still wearing her uniform, still holding those grocery bags. The bus ride takes her far away from his polished world, past dimly lit streets, rundown buildings, and small grocery stores with flickering lights. When she gets off, she walks another mile to reach a modest apartment building where two children rush to greet her. Their faces light up at the sight of her, and despite her exhaustion, she kneels and embraces them with pure love. He watches her from across the street, how she divides the food, making sure her kids eat before she does, how she listens patiently to their stories even as her eyes droop with fatigue. She laughs with them, the kind of laughter that hides pain but shines with pride. He notices the broken shoes, the peeling paint on the door, the cracked walls inside, yet somehow, that small home feels warmer than his mansion ever did. Hidden compassion reveals itself in those moments. The billionaire realizes that this woman, who earns in a month what he spends on dinner, carries more grace and dignity than anyone he knows. She gives everything without expecting anything. She loves without limit, and she faces hardship without bitterness. Every gesture, every tired smile, every moment of selflessness reflects a strength deeper than wealth. She embodies the kind of compassion that doesn't need to be seen to exist, the kind that grows in silence, in struggle, in love that endures despite everything. Silent struggle lives in the spaces between footsteps, in the moments when no one is watching, in the quiet endurance that becomes a way of life. For the housekeeper, each morning begins before the sun rises, long before the city stirs awake. Her alarm clock is not a sound but a responsibility that never sleeps. She moves carefully through her small apartment, making sure her children are still wrapped in their blankets, their dreams untouched by the weight she carries on her shoulders. The air smells faintly of last night's leftovers, and the light that filters through the cracked window feels pale and tired, like a reflection in the mirror as she pins her hair and ties her apron. Her world is built on repetition, the same buses, the same streets, the same tasks. Yet within that routine lies an unspoken battle she faces alone every single day. Her struggle is invisible to the world because she hides it with grace. When she arrives at the billionaire's mansion, her face shows no trace of exhaustion. She greets the guards, nods politely to the cook, and begins her day as if her own worries don't exist. No one knows that her feet ache from walking long distances to save bus fare, or that she sometimes skips breakfast so her children can have a proper meal. Her hands, rough and cracked, tell the story of someone who has never had the luxury of rest. Every motion, sweeping, scrubbing, polishing, becomes a quiet act of sacrifice, a silent exchange between duty and survival. The billionaire's home is vast and beautiful, filled with things that gleam under soft light, but beauty can sometimes be cruel. Every polished surface reminds her of what she cannot afford, every room larger than her entire apartment. Yet she never lets envy take root. She teaches herself to be thankful for the job, for the stability, for the chance to provide, even if it means wearing herself thin. That's what silent struggle looks like. It's endurance wrapped in humility, pain disguised as composure. When lunchtime comes, she eats alone in the small corner near the back door. Her meal is modest bread, sometimes a piece of fruit, sometimes just tea. Around her, laughter echoes from the dining hall, where the billionaire and his guests discuss business, unaware of the woman whose effort keeps their world spotless. But in that corner, between bites, she takes out a small photo, her 2 children, smiling wide despite wearing clothes that don't quite fit. She stares at it for a few seconds, draws quiet strength, and continues her work. The world rarely rewards quiet endurance. There are no medals for showing up every day when your body screams for rest. There are no congratulations for wiping tears in private so your children can see only your smile. Yet she persists because her struggle is not just about earning a wage. It's about giving her children a life she never had. Every blister on her hands is a promise to them that their future will not be defined by the same limitations she faced. The nights are the hardest. After long hours, when her body feels heavy and her steps slow, she takes the long walk home. The streets are quiet, the lamps flickering above her head, the sound of cars distant and fading. She carries plastic bags filled with groceries, her back slightly bent, her shoulders weary. But her mind is alive, calculating how to stretch every dollar, how to balance rent, food, school fees, and still find a way to buy her daughter's favorite book next month. It's a constant mental marathon she runs without applause, without anyone even knowing the race exists. When she finally reaches home, 2 small faces appear at the window, and her fatigue softens into relief. Her son runs to hug her daughter helps carry the bags, and for a brief moment, the heaviness fades. The apartment may be small, the furniture worn, but it is filled with love so thick it can be felt in the air. She listens as her children talk about their day, their laughter echoing through the cramped space like music. She helps them with homework, hums softly while folding laundry, and when they finally fall asleep, she sits by the window, staring at the city lights far in the distance. Lights that represent a world she serves but doesn't belong to. Her silent struggle isn't about pity. It's about power, the quiet kind that doesn't seek recognition but moves mountains in small ways. She carries her burdens without complaint because she knows her strength lies in her endurance. Her life is a series of choices made for love, sacrifices made for hope, and days spent fighting battles that no one else can see. And even when tears threaten to fall, she wipes them away before anyone notices, because she has learned that showing strength is sometimes the only way to survive. Perspective shift does not happen in a single instant. It builds slowly, layer by layer, until something inside finally breaks open and the truth floods in. For the billionaire, his life had always been about control, controlling markets, people, and outcomes. He had measured success through numbers, through profit margins and property values, through how many people stood when he entered a room. For years, he believed his vision of the world was complete, that he understood what mattered. Yet, following his housekeeper that night became the first crack in that illusion, a small fracture that began to widen the more he saw of her world. He stood on the opposite side of the street, hidden by the dim glow of a street lamp, watching her enter a narrow building that leaned slightly to one side. Its paint faded, its walls marked by years of neglect. The place was quiet, except for the faint sound of children laughing inside. He waited for a moment, unsure why he had followed her in the first place. Maybe it was guilt, or boredom, or something deeper that he could not yet name. From his car he could see the flickering light of a single bulb in the small apartment window. When he finally gathered the courage to step closer, he caught a glimpse through the thin curtains, her 2 children sitting at a tiny table, their legs swinging freely as they talked, while she unpacked groceries with a careful smile.